With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey. This is a bunch of stuff, deal.
What does that mean, a bunch of stuff?
Well, it means it's simply inaccurate.
It's Irish.
Exactly, it is. We Irish call it malarkey.
Thanks for the translation.
No, we Irish call it malarkey.
You know what this is? Yeah, and I reserve this word for those rare instances when it's truly deserved. This is malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Direct from the King Spring Studios in beautiful Smyrna, Georgia. This is a bunch of malarkey. Now, here's your host, the incredible Charlie McMahon.
Our first full year of A Bunch of Malarkey in the books as we start our second full year. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of A Bunch of Malarkey. And thank you, Scott Shannon, for that introduction. And thanks to all of you for making A Bunch of Malarkey part of your week as we set yet another record. Over 10,500 of you tuned in last week for our anniversary edition of the show. So thank you so much for all your love and support. So, folks, we're navigating our way through the month of August. We're two-thirds of the way there. We're Labor Day is coming up, which is the unofficial end of summer. But we know what these unofficial, Memorial Day is the unofficial start, Labor Day is the unofficial end. It's not getting cool anytime soon, especially around here. So it's just a, little tradition that we follow. But summer's here for a little while longer. But I'm looking forward to those cool nights, fire pits, s'mores, and all that kind of stuff. So we're navigating our way through August with Labor Day approaching. So I just want to give you a quick rundown. We will not have a show, speaking of Labor Day, on Monday, September 2nd. We will be off that week. And there will also be no show on Monday, September 23rd, as I will be traveling. Other than those 2 days, folks, Labor Day, the 2nd of September, and the 23rd, we'll have a show every single Monday for you right up until Christmas time, December 16th, which will be our last show of 2019. Then we'll take a 2-week break for Christmas and New Year's, and then back on January 6th. So I know that's way far ahead, but I wanted to give you a rundown. We're going to have 2 weeks off in September, the 2nd and the 23rd. But there will be a couple of shows in between the 2nd and the 23rd. But those are the 2 dates, 2 Mondays. We're not going to have a show in September. And then it's a straight run until Christmas and the holidays. I know we're not thinking that far ahead yet, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up as to what's going on in September. A couple of Mondays off, and then a straight run of malarkey right through your Christmas holidays. So, are you hungry, folks? Maybe some of you listen to this show while you're having lunch in your car, during work hours, or just on your lunch break. I want to ask you something. Is $500 too much to pay for a lifetime of unlimited creamy mushroom fettuccine? Well, not at all, according to more than 20,000 diehard Olive Garden fans. The Lifetime Pasta Passes, which are a new promotion for 2019, entitled 50 lucky recipients to unlimited pasta, soup, salad, and breadsticks for their entire lifetime. So you got to really like the Olive Garden. Now, I'm not a fan of the Olive Garden. I don't have anything against it. Everybody likes their own things in life. Olive Garden isn't one of them for me. But this is the first time Olive Garden has offered a promotion of this magnitude, having only offered a seasonal never-ending pasta pass and once an annual pasta pass in past years. In retrospect, folks, it's not entirely surprising that this year's pasta passes and lifetime pasta passes sold so quickly. In 2018, Olive Garden's limited annual pasta passes, which allowed the bearer to a year's worth of unlimited food, sold out in less than a second. And in 2017, all 22,000 of the passes Olive Garden offered sold out in 1 second as well. Their regular never-ending pasta pass are valid from September 23rd through November 24th. So holders of those golden tickets, they better save room for all that unlimited pasta, sauces, toppings, breadsticks, and salad and soup they can eat in those 9 weeks. The Lifetime Pass, however, assures holders of all the carbs they want for the rest of their lives. I mean, how long are you going to live, eat unlimited, all that crap that they have? You already got a bullseye on you, cholesterol-wise and everything else. The lucky, if you call them that, 50 winners of this year's Lifetime Pasta Passes will be notified of their windfall Friday and will have 48 hours to claim the deal. So if you applied for this, folks, be on the lookout. You may be the, winner. Are you really a winner? So that's the deal, folks, with these pasta passes. What have we become as a society where we have to have a lifetime pass to eat all this food? And it's just, we have a problem in this country with eating. Now, again, it's well documented on this podcast that, for years I was very athletic and winning races in my age group and everything. In the last couple of years, I've been a lazy son of a bitch. I put on some weight. I don't have to butter myself to get out the door or anything. I'm not morbidly obese, but I'm carrying some extra pounds on me. But I don't know. I love pasta too. It's probably my favorite, other than pizza, it's probably my favorite meal. But I don't think anybody on this earth needs an unlimited lifetime pasta pass. It's just not something you need. You're hungry for pasta, you boil up a pound of pasta in the pot at home. You make your sauce, or if you choose to eat it from a jar, that's your problem. That's your choice. And you carry on with your life. Do you need a lifetime pass to kill yourself? I just don't get it. Speaking of killing yourself from food, folks, we're not mean-spirited on the show. We do poke fun. Everybody's open. It's open season on everyone on the show. But we're not mean-spirited. But this story disturbed me for a couple of reasons. I'm going to read it. This happened in California. Tragedy struck at the ballpark last Tuesday night when the man leading the taco eating championship suddenly choked and died. The Grizzlies have now canceled a professional taco eating championship scheduled for Saturday. The rest of this weekend's taco truck throwdown events will go on as planned. 41-year-old Dana Andrew Hutchings loves sports and having fun. So a taco eating contest in the middle of a Fresno Grizzlies game seemed like the perfect combination for him. Those tacos would be his last meal. He apparently began to choke. So Fresno Grizzlies medical staff rushed over, started to give him first aid, and then turned him over to American Ambulance, said Tony Body with the Fresno County Sheriff's and Coroner's Office. Paramedics tried to clear food out of Hutchings' airway, but he died less than 30 minutes later. An autopsy has now confirmed that he choked on the tacos. He'd made a strong impression before his death, sharing his strategy with fellow fans at the game. He said he was going to enter a taco eating contest and has been not eating all day to make himself a winner, said Eric Schmidt. He says Hutchings also mentioned he was diabetic and had a couple of beers, so he offered the man some food, but Hutchings says he was saving room and himself for the competition. And when the contest showed up on the Jumbotron, the strategy seemed to work at first. He was winning, Schmidt said. He was hungry. You could tell. My son and I were standing there like, oh, there's that guy we spoke to. And he was winning because he was starving himself all day. But then he stopped eating. Schmidt saw him try to chew a little more, and then the big video screen went dark. He saw paramedics working on Hutchings in a hurry and found out later they couldn't save him. The victim's medical history and whether he was diabetic will be part of the county coroner's investigation. Though the autopsy determined his cause of death was choking, toxicology reports might take a month or more. Now, I'm not going to poke fun at a man dying, folks. Like I said, we make fun of people on the show in a spirited way, but we're not mean. But here's the problem I have with this. His kids, he's got 2 teenage kids. That wasn't part of the story that I read, but I had read that somewhere else. Now, these kids, for the rest of their life, they're going to say, oh, where's your dad? Oh, my dad passed away. And these things come up with friends. Oh, how'd your dad die? They're not going to have this valiant story of him storming the beaches in Normandy or, dying in battle in Afghanistan or dying in the line of fire as a cop or battling a disease and being courageous for years, battling a disease or something along those lines. These kids are going to have to say, my dad died in a taco eating contest for the rest of their lives. And his friends, this is what you're going to be known for, folks. I mean, you could have been the nicest guy doing charity work, doing everything possible to be a good human being. And if you die at a taco eating contest, that's what you're going to be most remembered for. They're going to go, oh, you remember that guy, Charlie? What a nice guy. Didn't he have that podcast, a bunch of something? Oh, he died in a taco eating contest. That's how, no matter what this man did on the earth when he was here, that's how he's going to be remembered by the average society, his friends and casual acquaintances. Of course, his family is going to remember him in a different light for other reasons, but they're going to carry that burden around for the rest of their lives that their dad died at a taco eating contest, and that's how the man is going to be remembered. So, to me, that's the saddest part of the whole story. Yes, the man's dead. He's leaving behind a family, but the fact that they have to go around the rest of their lives telling friends, and it's really... I don't know, folks. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that would be the big thing for me. I wouldn't want anybody going around. I wouldn't want that to be my legacy, in other words. Not that my legacy in this show is that much more, so much better, but, you know what I mean, folks. I had a friend in high school, and we were friends after high school for a few years, and I used to stay like on a Thursday night, because Friday at work, he didn't do anything. Hey, do you want to go to a bar? You want to do something? And he would always say, what if I died in the bar? I wouldn't want that. What people would say at my funeral, what was he doing in a bar on a Thursday night or a Tuesday night? And that always stuck with me. So he never wanted to go out at odd times or to dive bars, because he said if something ever happened to him, that's how he was going to be remembered. And now I could kind of relate to that, what he used to say. So anyway, folks, that it is what it is. So what better time to segue to our favorite segment.
Mutant of the Week.
So last week, it wasn't a landslide victory, but it was quite decisive as our octomoron, the woman who put the octopus on her face posing for a picture, she beat the fraternizing felon, the guy who tormented police and said, you can't catch me, and went on a tirade on Facebook. She beat him 67 to 33%. So it was decisive, but not a landslide by any means. So here's this week's nominees. Our first one comes out of the great state. Should I say the great state of Florida? The state of Florida, nonetheless, folks. You never know what to expect when it comes to a first date. Will there be chemistry? Will it be terrible? Is he or she the one? Usually, though, you don't wonder if the date will end in a wild police chase. But that's just what happened to one Florida woman. The unnamed woman met a man on a dating site, and they decided to have their first date together at a local Denny's. That should have been a flag right there. Afterwards, he was driving her back to her place when police tried to pull him over for a minor traffic violation over his vehicle's tags. Instead of stopping, the man took off, fleeing police at high speeds. They used a spike strip to get him to stop, but by the time they caught up to his car, he had run into the woods, escaping capture and leaving his date behind. Armed officers approached the car and found her, scared and unable to give her date's name, since she never got his last name and was told two different first names. She said the only thing he told her about why he was running was that he didn't have a valid driver's license. It's been a tough summer for the woman. Last month, she was involved in a separate incident with another man she was dating. He was caught on a security camera jumping on her car, smashing her windshield, and assaulting her. Police believe the suspect in the more recent incident wasn't just running from police because of a license plate or a license issue and had more serious criminal history. He has not yet been apprehended. So I was wondering, who's the bigger mutant here? The woman for accepting a date to go to Denny's on the first date and getting two first names from him and still going on the date, and then having him come to her place and pick her up. So she was like 0 for 4 in the decision-making there, but she's the victim here. So our first mutant nominee is the Denny's dashing dater, the guy who left his date behind and dashed into the woods. The Denny's dashing dater. Our second nominee comes out of Nashville, Tennessee, where a Nashville man was arrested For what started out as an alleged shoplifting attempt that turned into charges of assaulting an officer, police reported that they were at a local Walmart north of Nashville on another call when, in the loss prevention office, they observed John Allen Honecker on a security camera shoving items into his pants. Police and the loss prevention employee detained the man and discovered he had placed 2 propane tanks in his pants along with some sliced beef brisket. The total value of the items in Honecker's pants was approximately $35. Police say the company asked to prosecute Honecker for shoplifting, and so they began transporting him to central booking. While on the way, officers report that Honecker tried kicking out the windows on the police vehicle, as well as spitting on a number in the car, a number of times inside the car, slammed his head against the plastic partition, separating the rear and front seats. After the officer called for backup assistance, police say they attempted to place a hobble restraint on Honecker to prevent his attempts at causing damage to the vehicle. That's when Honecker allegedly attempted to kick the officer in the head and midsection. Police say he had a strong odor of alcohol about his person, admitted to officers that he'd been drinking, and advised officers to leave his drunk fucking ass alone. Honecker was arrested on a Class B misdemeanor charge of assault of an officer. So let's call him the besotted barbecuer. Now you got to go to Google and see what besotted means. Yeah, we did all those fancy words last week, highfalutin and all that. So look up besotted. Besotted. He is our second mutant nominee, the besotted barbecuer. So, folks, that's going to transition into our... Now, the reason I started this podcast, over a year ago now, is because I wanted to cover different topics, but my main purpose was to point out people that break, the normal unwritten... There's rules that we went over many times on the show. Laws. We've done a whole show about crazy laws that are actually on the books. And we've talked about the unwritten rules of society. Now, these are called social norms or unwritten rules. They're also called morays. And they are the unwritten rules of behavior that are considered acceptable in a group or society. This is how we keep society functioning, folks. Not just with direct rules and laws, but also with our expectations of each other. When people know what is expected of them, they tend to comply. The term morays refers to the norms set by society, largely for behavior and appearance. Individuals who do not follow social mores are often considered social deviants, or as we call them here on A Bunch of Malarkey, mutants. We as humans, we're social animals. We live in a world where, even though there is a sense of individuality and personal space, we have to coexist and have a worldview. We have the freedom, but rarely the freedom to do anything we want to do. Rules and regulations dictate how we live and behave with our fellow man, and rightly so, because only then can a rational and right world exist. There are some social rules which are unwritten, unspoken, yet everyone is expected to know. So here we are. We're going to give you a lowdown. But first, a quick song about following the rules.
I can follow the rules. I can follow the rules. And we'll have a good day when we follow the rules.
Now, we will have a good day if we follow the rules. Seriously, folks. If everybody just followed these unwritten rules, we'd all have a good day. It would be a lot less stressful out there, wouldn't it? And we're going to go over today the most common unwritten rules of society that people break that probably piss you off because they piss me off. So we're going to give you the lowdown today. Now, topping the list, but not necessarily my biggest problem with people, because I have many, as you know, it's people that violate personal space. I don't mean just close talkers. I mean the buffer zones. There's buffer zones out there, people, at ATM machines, when you're paying for your groceries at the cash register and the next person in line, they're putting their stuff on the belt, fine, but then they're encroaching that little space where you're swiping your card in your ATM. Urinals. If there are 15 urinals lined up and I'm the only guy peeing in there, which, I don't use urinals anyway, but that's besides the point. If you're in there and you're at a urinal and you're a man and there's 15 other urinals, don't go to the one right next to someone peeing. Pick one down the end or a few spaces over, at least 1 or 2 urinal buffer zone. Same thing with stalls in the women's room. If a woman's in a stall, why are you going to go to the stall right next to them? If there's several stalls, give the woman a buffer zone. So this is, buffer zones are big to me.
We have unwritten laws in the society.
We do have unwritten rules in this society. Especially on escalators. There are some people who like to ride the escalator, right? They like to ride it and don't walk on it. If you're going to be one of those people that stay put, get on a step, stay to the right. Leave a lane on the left for people to pass you that want to walk as well as ride the escalator. This is a big one for me, folks. If you're online at a restaurant, at a fast food restaurant or anywhere, and it's your turn in line and you're speaking on your cell phone, hang the fuck up. There's nothing worse than the cashier or the clerk trying to get your attention when you're bullshitting on your phone and then there's a million people waiting. I had this problem when I worked in the parking lot, and I would have fights with people every day. When you're being helped, either pause the call, tell them hold on, or hang up. Do not be talking on the telephone when it's your turn to give your order, to do whatever you have to do at the counter. And this kind of goes with the escalator thing. Don't stop in the middle of a sidewalk or an aisle in the supermarket or at the entryway of a building to look at your phone, organize your shit, read something. Stay to the right. Clear yourself out of the way. When you're riding on a train or a bus or anywhere where there's seats, don't put your feet on them. Don't put packages on them. They're seats, folks. They're not for storage. And while you're on that train or bus, give up your seat for an elderly person, man or woman, any woman for that matter, a pregnant woman, a child. Have some courtesy, folks. I know it's 2019 and we're all absorbed in what we need to do, but there are rules.
She was breaking the rules. She wasn't following the rules of society.
What rules?
The unwritten rules that we have as we go about our day.
When you're on the highway, folks, and there's a sign up ahead that the right lane's going to end and you have to merge, don't wait till you get up to the cones, right up to the workman's ass. Merge. Or when there's an exit lane and everybody's getting over the exit, don't wait till the end and then cut everybody off. Merge and stay in the lane in the queue. That is a mutant move, to wait till the last second. When you finish the toilet paper, whether it's, number 1, number 2, these toilet talks we have, replace the toilet paper, folks. I don't care if you put it feeding from the bottom or the top. That's a bullshit argument. Just replace the toilet paper. And when you're in public, too, hold doors for people. If they're within 10 feet of you, you wait and you hold the door for them. And if somebody holds the door for you, folks, make sure you say thank you. Is there anything worse than holding the door for someone and not getting a thank you? Not that you do it for the thank you, but you want the thank you. It's proper. This one bothers me. How many times have you been shopping in the supermarket and you go to grab a bag of chips or snacks and there's like a package of meat on the shelf in the chip aisle, or a bunch of bananas in the, Listerine aisle? People, if you change your mind on something, folks, either give it to the cashier and say, I changed my mind on that, so you know it's going to go back in the right spot, or bring it back. There's nothing worse, because then that meat is going to end up back in the case. It's been out of refrigeration for, God knows how long. It's going to end up back in the case, and some poor soul is going to buy it and get sick. Put it back. And while you're in the supermarket, folks, and we talked about this with that big fight that happened a couple of weeks ago with that state legislator here. If it says 12 items or less, or 12 items or fewer, or whatever it says, stick to it. Don't be a mutant. And put your shopping cart back when you're done. I know it's a pain in the ass. It's raining. You're nowhere near a cart corral. But that's how you have to be strategic when you arrive at the supermarket. What I do now, sometimes you go to stores, there's only one cart corral, and it's like a mile away, or you have to bring it all the way back into the store. I strategically park somewhere near the cart corral, especially when the weather is bad, so I can put the cart back without much effort. If you're over someone's house and you have dinner and you're sitting around chatting and it's getting late, and they say, oh, look at the time, or it's getting late, or they say, I have a busy day tomorrow, that's a hint to get the fuck out. So if you're at someone's house and they say that, leave, folks. And while you're there, if someone hosts you for dinner or for coffee or anything, they're not going to take you up on it, but at least offer to wash the dishes or clean up. At least offer, folks. If someone shows you a picture on their phone of their kid, no matter what it is, don't scroll on their phone. You don't know what else they have on their phone. There could be a compromising picture. You don't know what people are taking on their phones these days. So if someone gives you their phone and says, look at little Joey, you say, wow, he's cute. Even if the kid's ugly, say, wow, he's cute. And then give them back their phone. Don't be scrolling on people's phones. Here's one. If you're out with a group of people or another couple or whatever, and I don't know why restaurants do this, but sometimes they bring out 2 out of the 4 entrees, and then there's a 5-minute wait for the other 2. Don't start eating until everybody's food arrives, unless there's a big discussion, which always happens, and they say, no, we insist you eat. It's going to get cold. At least have the discussion, but don't just grab your fork and start eating before everybody's food comes. Here's one of mine, and we covered this on our social media Misfits episode last year. Don't tag people. If you just went out yesterday to the zoo with your friends and you want to tag them or wherever you went, I guess that's okay. But don't be tagging people in photos that are 20 years old, or 30 years old, that maybe they don't look their best in. At least message them and say, hey, I found this picture from, 92 when you were wearing MC Hammer pants. I'm going to tag you in it. Is that okay? At least reach out before you tag someone. Shouldn't have to be said, but no speakerphones in public, folks. Get headphones. If you cancel plans with someone, it's up to you to reschedule. The canceller is the rescheduler. It's not up to the person that's canceled on. Here's one that bothers me the wrong way, and my mom is great at this. One-upping people or upstaging people. If you call my mom and say you only live like a mile from her, and you say, wow, it's really raining here. What a thunderstorm. My mom will have to one-up you and say it's flooding. She's on a raft. She's floating down the street. No matter what you say to her, the weather's always worse by her. You could say, Mom, my back hurts today. And she'll say she's crippled. She's on a stretcher. You cannot ever say anything without being one-upped. It's quite annoying. So if you're having a conversation with someone and they're telling you how they feel or something they went through, don't try to one-up them or upstage them. If you're going to the gym to burn off that yearly Olive Garden pass, wipe down the exercise equipment when you're done. We don't want to have your sweat all over it. And if you, like I said about the buffer space, if you are on a treadmill, or if you want to go on the treadmill and there's a whole bank of treadmills and there's somebody on a treadmill, don't take the treadmill next to them. Go down the end. At least leave a treadmill or 2 buffer space in between. Never ask a woman when she's due or if she's pregnant. That's not going to end well. And if she is pregnant, don't touch her belly. Or if she had the kid already, don't touch the kid. It's not your kid. No matter how cute he or she is, nobody likes their belly and their kids touched. When you go to work, I know sometimes you want to save money. You don't want to eat out every day. You want to bring your lunch. Don't bring fish or not the Olive Garden, the Red Lobster leftovers. We covered this before. Exotic foods. Come on, folks. Don't be a mutant. You got a whole office. They don't want to smell your cod dish from Red Lobster last night and all that. Just bring a normal frozen meal. And if you do make the popcorn, don't burn it. If someone on the road lets you in, it's rush hour traffic, you got to give the thank you wave, folks. You got to give the thank you wave. It's the worst when you really go out of your way to let somebody in and they just go in and they don't give you that thank you wave. Here's one. If you borrow something from someone, return it in a timely fashion. Don't wait for them to ask for it back. That's the worst. And I'm not just talking about money, anything. You borrow a drill from your neighbor, don't wait for them to come, hey, you still got my drill? Give it back to them when you're done with it. If you're the one, this happened about a month ago. We were out to dinner with friends in Atlanta. If you're crossing in the crosswalk, even if you have the cross sign, walk sign, and you see cars ready to make a right and, cars waiting on you, pick up the pace. Don't be chatting it up and talking on your cell phone. And if you see cars waiting, put a little hop in your step. People are waiting. Traffic's got to flow. I always do that. If I see cars, I give a little wave and I step up the pace, and they appreciate it. Step up the pace when you're in the crosswalk if there's cars waiting. No double dipping. I mean, it's been on Seinfeld. This has been beaten to death. You're at a party anywhere, even in your own house. If you're sharing that dip with someone else, don't dip. Don't double dip in there. If you're in the car with someone and they're driving you on a long trip, they say, we're going to go up to the mountains or we're going to go here, and they're the one driving. You're going out, a couple of couples going, pay for the gas. The couple not driving or the person not driving, if it's any more than 10, 15 miles, pay for the gas. Money, folks. Money is becoming a lost art. But this applies to credit and debit cards, too. Don't put money or debit or credit cards in your mouth, in between your sweaty titties and your ass crack and your sock. Money is meant for a wallet or your pocket or your purse. The worst at that parking lot was the titty money and the sock money, especially this time of year when it's 100 degrees. It's like Mexico City out there. You could cut the humidity with a knife. Nobody wants your sweat-soaked $5 bill or credit card or debit card. It's disgusting. A big problem we have here in the neighborhood, people not picking up after their dogs. We're dog lovers here. We never walk them. They have a big yard they play in. But there are cases where I had apartments where I had to walk the dog. Pick up the shit, folks. It's not that hard. Bring a bag, pick up the dog shit, put it in a pail, go on your way. You'd be surprised how many people don't clean up their dog's crap. If you're at a place where there's a buffet or if work gets lunch catered and there's a buffet, only go up for seconds when you're absolutely sure everybody got there first. You know how many times working in an office there would be these vultures that would have seconds and thirds before, Julie in accounting got one serving. They would just be hovering around this buffet. Make sure everybody got first before you go for seconds and thirds. Here's one. I was saying to my wife the other night at dinner, I have never sampled anything in my life. I've never gone to an ice cream parlor. There's the word parlor again. An ice cream shop. I like the word parlor for some reason. I've never gone to an ice cream store or a frozen yogurt place and said, let me sample the vanilla or let me sample. It's a roll of the dice, folks. You take a chance. If it sucks, it sucks. You move on with your life. You pay $4 for the cone. Your life goes on. If you're going to sample something with those little spoons, at least sample something that's exotic or new, like the papaya, mango sorbet. Okay, I can understand you want to sample that. You might not know what it tastes like. But don't sample strawberry. What the fuck do you think strawberry is going to taste like? Or vanilla, the basic flavors. Why do you have to sample? You don't know what, you're 44 years old. You don't know what vanilla tastes like. You don't know what chocolate tastes. That pisses me off more than anything. The sample abusers. They have to try all these flavors, and then they end up getting a small $2 vanilla cone after sampling everything in the case. If you're going to sample something exotic or new or something unfamiliar to you. Everybody's tasted chocolate, and everybody knows what vanilla tastes like. Everybody knows what strawberry tastes like. Come on, folks. No clipping your nails in public. Do I need to? These are all unwritten rules that are violated all the time. If you're at a bar, you're with your friends, someone buys you a drink, you buy one back. You get the next round. It's quite simple. If you have enough money to eat out, we did a whole show on this. You have enough money to tip. Or don't go out. If you can't tip, don't go out. Treat the person who empties your garbage pail at work or the janitor the same way you would treat your boss or the CEO. That's a rule everyone in life should follow. We'd be a much better system. Don't look down on anybody. But you people out, giving orders, barking orders to these people. If a colleague tells you they have a doctor's appointment, I'm going to be out on Thursday, I got to go to the doctor. Don't ask what it's for, why they're going to the doctor. Just say, hope you're doing okay. If they want to talk about it, they will. Don't put them in the middle of some uncomfortable conversation of having to tell you their personal illness or whether it's for just a checkup. I mean, come on. How many times have you had that conversation with somebody? Oh, are you okay? What are you going for? Never ask a shy person what's wrong or ask them, why aren't you talking more? It only makes them feel more awkward. There are just certain people in society that are, just shy. Don't try to make them be something that they don't want to be. And just a few more, folks, as we're not going to stretch this episode out too much because we've talked your ear off for 90-plus minutes the last two. Don't make plans in front of those you are not involving in the plan. So don't stand around with a group of your friends making plans and leaving two people out. Pull them to the side and make the plans. To me, it's proper etiquette. Here's one, folks, that's so basic. Do we even have to mention it? Yes, we do. After you go to the bathroom, flush the toilet. Wash your hands. Come on. How basic can you be that these rules are violated? That you have to have signs in restaurants. Wash your hands before going back to work. I mean, do we need the signs? I mean, really? Is that not a bunch of... If that's not a bunch of malarkey, what is, folks? Telling people that they have to wash their hands.
Boy, if this isn't a bunch of malarkey.
It is. Don't wear sunglasses inside, folks. Only blind people and assholes wear, to quote Larry David, wear sunglasses inside. And when someone says, this is something I wrote about in my book, when someone says, hi, how are you? Even if you're not fine, just say, fine, thank you for asking, how are you? Don't give them your life story. Don't tell them all the woes in your life. Air out your grievances like it's Festivus. Just give the standard fine, thank you for asking, or good. Don't say, I'm hanging in there, I'm not so well, my wife, this, that. Just say fine and move on, especially if it's somebody you don't know very well. So those are some of the most common unwritten rules that are violated the most often, folks. We hope you enjoyed them. Which ones on that list do you violate? Well, what unwritten rules of society do you feel are broken the most? We want to hear from you. Go to our Facebook page, comment, and let us know. For those new listeners, and we had a bunch more last week, where are we located? Well, you can catch us on iTunes, over on Apple Podcast, on Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Radio Public, Radio.com, Stitcher, CastBox, YouTube, or if you have an Amazon Echo device, just say, Alexa, play the podcast, A Bunch of Malarkey, and she will play our most recent episode. Be sure to vote for the Mutant of the Week. Where do you vote? Go to our Facebook page. Poll goes up Tuesday morning, bright and early, and ends on Saturday, so you have 5 full days to vote. We will be back next week, next Monday, which will be the 26th, and then we will be off for Labor Day, back for a couple of weeks, and then off on September 23rd, and then we have a straight run until the holidays. So I believe, according to my calculations, after this show, we still have 15 episodes to go in 2019 after this one. So we still have a lot of malarkey to talk about between now and the holidays. I do have some good things planned for September. We're actually going to do, if everything goes well, it will be also like the way you normally listen to the podcast on those platforms, but we're also going to do a Facebook Live of one of our shows. So you can catch that live on our Facebook page, or if you can't catch it live, obviously the page saves the video and you can watch it later. But we are going to do a live broadcast of one of our shows in September. I'm thinking the 9th, but it could be the 16th. I'm working out the details. It's going to be a fall edition of the show. It's going to be fun. So it'll be broadcast on video on the Facebook page and also on our normal platforms where without the video, just the audio of that. So got some fun things coming up. I thank you all. We had another great week. We're on pace for our best month ever, even after a great July. Looks like August is going to be our best month ever. Every single month we get better, so thank you, and thank you for all your support. So, folks, as I always say, no matter what you're doing, even when you're out in society, and this is why I say this, because everywhere you go, people are breaking these unwritten rules. So no matter where you are, folks, to finish out your summer, you have to beware, because it's a shit show out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week, and we will catch you next Monday. Take care, everybody.